Seasoned with Grace Unbox presents Tune Up Tuesdays. This live weekly event is here to provide you and your family with tools for stronger family relationships. And now, here are your hosts, Doctors Robert and Denise Davis.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tune Up Tuesdays, presented by Seasoned with Grace Unboxed. Tune Ups Tuesday is designed to provide tools and strategies to tune up, to improve, and to enhance family relationships. We want to help you to gain a better understanding of your family, as well as to equip you to improve all family relationships. We hope to be a resource as you improve every area of family functioning. So let's get started. Denise, would you be so kind as to recap for us?
Sure. He has me reading from Murray Bowens, Family Therapy in Clinical Practice, page 436. And it says, when any key member of a family can accurately observe what is going on in their family, as well as the part they play in it, when they can control their own emotional reactions, when they can avoid counterattacking when they're provoked, and when they can maintain an active relationship with other key members of their family without withdrawing, emotionally checking out, or becoming silent, the entire system will change in a series of predictable steps. This is the essence of producing change in your family's system. This is the method of coaching one person through the predictable functioning of their family's system and supervising their efforts to modify their own functioning in all other relationships. Last week, we talked about counterattacking and defending ourselves. Learning not to counterattack or defend ourselves is a natural outgrowth of learning to controlling our emotional reactions.
This is why we spent 5 weeks, count them, 5 weeks, looking at controlling our emotional reactions. Because to control your emotional reaction has to be lived out in real life situations. There's no realer life situation than remaining calm, cool, and collected when you feel under attack, especially by your family. As I shared last week, Denise, when family situations in our families, or when situations rather in our families or in other relationships become tense or anxious, when conflict arises, there is a tendency to do one of two things. One, defend ourselves, or two, counterattack. This is especially true when we begin to change our emotional reactions and responses. More often than not, our family will see our change in behavior as us distancing from them, and they will try to draw us back into the emotional system of functioning. As the Godfather said in part 3, every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
I'm not going to mention what era, what decade. Okay.
Like I shared, when you raise your level of emotional maturity, you are pulling away from your family. But be mindful, this pull is not withdrawing from your family to avoid stress or anxiety. And so the question that you have to ask yourself is, number one, why am I pulling away? And number two, how am I pulling away? So I recognize that I've got to change, and that change is a pull away. So why am I pulling away, and how am I pulling away? So am I pulling away from my family to avoid stress and anxiety? The other side of the coin is this. Am I pulling away from the counterproductive tendencies of my family to be a better self and to raise my level of maturity? So two sides of it. Am I pulling away because I'm just sick and tired of their foolishness? Or am I pulling away because I want to be a better self and to raise my level of maturity?
Okay, so you're still going to go to family reunions, but you're just not going to react in the same old way that you would when someone triggers you.
Well said.
Okay.
Well said.
All right, so Robert, the second question we have to ask ourselves is, how am I pulling away, right? Let me give you the key to success on this one. Here's the key to success. We want to make sure we're not using counterproductive and immature methods to detangle ourselves from counterproductive and immature behavior. That's a mouthful.
That's profound. Say it again. Say it again, girl.
We want to make sure that we're not using counterproductive and immature methods to detangle ourselves from counterproductive and immature behaviors. This is the reason we have done so much work trying to understand our family functioning and the role we play. Because we want to improve our emotional reactivity, we want to become a calmer, more intentional person. Robert, let me share 2 quick points before we jump back in. Number 1, if you are aware of your natural responses, you can give a better idea of what you need to work on. Right? Number 2, if we can anticipate that our family and other relationships are going to try to pull us back into our natural way. Every time I'm out,
they try to pull me back in.
If we can anticipate that our family and other relationships are going to try to pull us back into our natural way of responding, then we can be more intentional in our responses, which is what I'm going to try and do now. Okay.
You know, Denise, you're spot on. I'll be honest with you, you're spot on. 2 of the main points that we've been discussing on Tune Up Tuesdays is being more self-aware and learning to self-regulate. Last week, I mentioned the 3 responses families typically give when one of its members improve their emotional functioning. And I got these 3 responses from Murray Bowens, Family Therapy and Clinical Practices, page 495. And the first response that they typically give is this: you are wrong, or at least some variation of that. The second response is change back. And of course, this can be communicated, as we talked about last week, this can be communicated in many ways. And the third is, if you do not, these are the consequences.
Right.
So number 1, you are wrong. Number 2, change back. Number 3, if you don't, then these are the consequences.
There will be blood.
You remember? There will be blood. When these forces start coming at us, we need to be prepared to address them in a constructive, self-aware, mature way.
Right.
So before we close out, because this is not going to be a long session today, before we close out, I want us to role play a scenario to demonstrate how this may look.
What?
Okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to be the bad guy. All right? I'm going to be the bad guy, and she's going to be the one that actually does things the right way. All
so
right?
we're going to be ourselves.
You know, for a second there,
Don't
that went over my head.
Don't counterattack.
For a second, that went over my head. But because I am the mature person in this relationship, I am not going to counterattack when I am provoked.
Right. Okay. Mr. Mature. Okay.
All right. So here we go. Here's a scenario. You ready for it? Denise, I really need you to pick up Uncle Martin from the bowling alley today around 6 p.m.
Okay. Well, as you are aware, the last few times I picked him up, he was late coming. He was late coming out, and I told him I will not be able to pick him up again.
Well, you know how he is, so you need to be a little more patient with him. I can't get him today because I'm going to be on the other side of town, and you're the one that's closest to the bowling alley.
As I already shared with him, I will not pick him up from the bowling alley anymore. If he has questions, he is free to call me.
This is so unfair, Denise. You expect me to rush all the way from the other side of town to pick him up, drive him home, and then go back to my side of town.
Well, I don't have any expectations as to what you should do, but I'm not going to pick him up.
You are the person in the family who does the least to help all the other family members, especially when we are in situations that we need you.
Well, as I told him before, I will not be picking him up anymore.
Well, don't worry. From now on, I just won't ask you for anything.
Well, I'm here for you. I just won't pick up Uncle Martin.
This is ridiculous. So many people in the family have helped you every time you needed help, and you won't pitch in this one time. This is unflippin' real.
I'm always here for you. I just won't pick up Uncle Martin.
Now, this...
less emotion that would actually be happening. Right?
I would pay money. Good money, to see her actually respond like that. I'm telling you, boy, she's mwah. That's right, baby. Now, this is an intense example, Your family or relationship may be a little less octane, but the principles are the same. The principles are the same.
Okay. Well, notice I identified the key members of the family. I accurately observed what was going on. I stated the facts. I controlled my emotional reaction and responses. I did not counterattack or defend myself when I was attacked.
Good job, Denise.
Thank you.
Good job. I have trained you well.
Yeah, you have. I have learned not to counterattack.
Yes.
Grazie.
Well, she's on a roll today. This is her time to shine, isn't it? Well, since you are on such a roll today, I'll let you be the bearer of bad news. Do you have any homework for our viewers?
Well, it's not bad news because we're all working on ourselves. All right, so journal your responses to the following questions.
She's good.
What are the situations in your family relationships that evoke the most emotional reactivity? When those situations arise, what would be the most productive and emotionally mature way for you to respond? What are some responses, both positive and negative, you may receive from your family once you begin to respond in a more productive, emotionally mature way?
All right, read that for us one more time.
Oh, one more time. All right. Number one, you're going to journal your responses to the following questions. Number one, what are the situations in your family relationships that evoke the most emotional reactivity?
Preach, girl.
When these emotional situations arise, what would be the most productive and emotionally mature way for you to respond?
All right now.
Okay. And number three, what are some responses, both positive and negative, you may receive from your family once you begin to respond in a more productive, emotionally mature way?
Wow, thank you very much. That is awesome.
That was short today.
That was a pretty short one today. But we will be back here next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Tune Up Tuesdays. Because even the smoothest running family needs a Tune Up Tuesday. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching Tune Up Tuesday. You can connect with us on Facebook or check out our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org. Again, thank you for watching and tune in next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another insightful episode of Tune Up Tuesday. Seasoned with Grace Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.